Immigration tensions in Britain are boiling over once again. Protesters have marched outside hotels housing asylum seekers, turning these sites into flashpoints across the country. Crowds chanted, "Stop the boats," as they demanded tougher action on migrants and insisted they represent the voices of local communities. One hotel in Epping, just outside London, has become a symbol of this unrest. Anger erupted after an Ethiopian asylum seeker living there was charged with assaulting a minor girl. Thousands gathered outside, sparking heated confrontations. The legal battle over the Epping Hotel intensified last week. A London High Court initially ruled the council could shut it down due to unprecedented protests and disruption. But on Friday, August 29th, the Court of Appeals sided with the government, allowing asylum seekers to remain.
The applications were listed for oral hearing yesterday on the 28th of August 2025, with the appeals to follow. The first of the applications is brought by the Secretary of State for the Home Department, Home Secretary, and the second by Somani Hotels Limited, Somani. The respondent to both appeals is Epping Forest District Council, the council. The appeals themselves both concern the grant to the council of a temporary, i.e. time-limited, injunction by Mr. Justice Eyre, the judge, on 19th August 2025. That injunction was granted pursuant to Section 187B of the Town and Country Planning Act 1990, the 1990 Act, to restrain Somani from using the Bell Hotel at High Road, Bell Common, Epping, Essex, the hotel, as accommodation for asylum seekers. The issues for determination by this court can be summarised as follows. A. Prior to giving his judgment on the council's application for the temporary injunction, the judge gave a short oral ruling explaining why he was refusing permission to the Home Secretary to become a party, an intervener, to the council's injunction application. We consider in this appeal whether the judge was wrong to do so. The judge went on to grant the temporary injunction to restrain the continued provision of accommodation to asylum seekers at the hotel pending the trial. In this respect, too, we consider whether he was wrong to do so. The council does not say it should be decisive. We agree that it is relevant, but in our view, it is clearly outweighed in the American cyanamide balancing exercise by the undesirability of incentivizing protests, by the desirability in the interests of justice of preserving the status quo for the relatively brief period leading up to the forthcoming trial, and by the range of public interest factors which we have discussed in our judgment. Therefore, we grant permission to appeal both to Somani and to the Home Secretary against the grant of the interim injunction. We allow the appeals and we set aside the injunction imposed on 19 August 2025.
Reacting to the verdict, Prime Minister Keir Starmer's Labour government defended the decision, even as immigration remains one of the hottest issues in British politics. The UK is facing record migrant arrivals, more than 28,000 this year, most crossing the English Channel in small boats. Far-right Reform UK leader Nigel Farage has seized on the issue, blaming migrants for Britain's struggles with housing, healthcare, and crime. Now Reform UK, polling at 35% and leading in national surveys, has unveiled Operation Restoring Justice, a 5-year plan to detain and deport up to 600,000 migrants.
The mood in the country around this issue is a mix between total despair and rising anger. And I would say this, that without action, without somehow the contract between the government and the people being renewed, without some trust coming back, then I fear deeply that that anger will grow. In fact, I think there is now, as a result of this, a genuine threat to public order. And that is the very last thing that we want. And I've been saying, of course, for a long time, that it's a growing threat to our national security. And we've seen just recently some arrests made of people that came by boat, and they are suspected of being involved in some form of terrorism. Huge numbers of undocumented young males who throw their passports and iPhone into the English Channel when they get to the 12-mile line, something that I've been out and filmed. These huge numbers of people do constitute a threat. And I suppose the growing anger in the country over the course of the last few weeks is a cultural one, in the sense that many of these young men come from countries in which women aren't even second-class citizens. And frankly, the public have now just had enough. And what began as a protest of mothers and concerned citizens outside the Bell Hotel in Epping has now spread right across the country. And all of it really poses one big fundamental question. Whose side are you on? Are you on the side of women and children being safe on our streets? Or are you on the side of outdated international treaties backed up by a series of dubious courts? The Channel crisis began with a trickle of dinghies in 2018. The numbers in 2018 and 19 were very small indeed. But I began to realize in early 2020 that virtually nobody that came via this route was being deported. They would have been, even in Tony Blair's government time. If you'd done that, you would have been deported, no question about it. And so in early 2020, I repeatedly went out into the English Channel, filming what was going on, saying you may as well put a sign on the White Cliffs of Dover saying everyone welcome. And unless we start deporting people, I predicted this would turn into, and yes, I use the word, invasion. But 180,000 people later, what other word could possibly describe what has been going on? It is an invasion, as these young men illegally break into our country.
Even U.S. billionaire Elon Musk has weighed in, amplifying support for anti-immigration protesters and far-right politicians across Europe. With court battles, rising protests, and a new immigration plan dominating headlines, the UK's migrant crisis is no longer just a policy debate. It has become a political powder keg.